So how's it going, everyone? So Arrow Season 5 is off to a great start so far. I feel like the writing has really gotten back on track this season. I feel like the stories are a lot more engaging. The flashbacks, I feel, are a lot better than they were back in Season 4. But I feel like the overall main thing that I keep coming back for this season, and the mystery that keeps building up and was brought to us this mid-season finale, is that of our main villain, Prometheus. So this video right here is basically going to be me discussing some fan theories, some fans' speculations on what they think Prometheus turns out to be, but also my personal take on who I think Prometheus will end up being, or at least I'm hoping he will end up being, and just an overall discussion of who is Prometheus. So one thing that the mid-season finale basically gave us for his information towards Prometheus' identity is the fact that he might be related to Justin Claiborne, who is actually a person back in Season 1 when Oliver was going back as the vigilante, as the Hood, going around killing people, and was a businessman that was on his list that he basically had to take down in order to make Starling City a better place. Now for me personally, when I saw this episode, it neither confirmed nor denied that this was a possibility. They kind of just threw it out there, and I think that's a red herring for basically the true identity of Prometheus. So I did a little bit of research on my own, and I basically compiled a 5-person list of people that I think could possibly end up becoming Prometheus when he finally gets unmasked this back half of the season. So these are people that basically, from what we've been told about Prometheus, one thing that we know about Prometheus is that he's connected to Oliver's past. We know that Oliver created Prometheus. And number 2 is that he knows about Oliver's secret identity, but also knows about the list. So for my number 5 spot, I would actually have the Huntress. So Huntress is a character that we really haven't seen much, I think, since Season 2 of Arrow. So now, I know a lot of people are speculating that she might make a return back, and she's got this alternate persona now as Prometheus. Personally, I don't think it's going to be her. So with people speculating that Huntress could come back this season as Prometheus, I see it as highly unlikely. For my number 4 pick, I actually have Robert Queen. I find this very hard to believe and actually very contradicting to what basically Robert Queen, at basically the beginning of this series, sent Oliver on his journey to become the Green Arrow. Because right now Prometheus is basically telling Oliver / Green Arrow that everything he's done is wrong. So for him just to come out and just be Prometheus, I think it would be surprising, but I also think that it would just be a step backwards for like what pushed Oliver to become the Green Arrow in the first place. My number 3 pick is actually someone that we got introduced to this season and has actually been helping Oliver actually combat crime within the city, and that would be Adrian Chase. So Adrian Chase is the new DA this season, so he's taken up the position that Laurel held the last couple seasons, and we get introduced to this new DA. He's helping Oliver as he's becoming mayor, and he's trying to basically rid the city of the crime and infestation that has taken over his city. But what we've come to realize is, as they've hinted out through a little bit of the episodes, is that Adrian has a little bit of a darker side to him. We know that he has a sense of justice, but we just don't know where that sense of justice lies. But we also got introduced to another vigilante this season, going by Vigilante, but you can also just refer to him as the ski goggle guy. So I see Adrian Chase falling more into being that vigilante than being Prometheus, just on the fact that it's kind of like a red herring where we have this new character being introduced. We know that he's working with Oliver very closely and has a very high up position to where he's basically able to monitor what Oliver is doing as mayor. But I lean it more towards the vigilante than Prometheus, just to the fact that he's got kind of like that darker version of justice, but doesn't seem to have a vendetta against Oliver as a person. So my number 2 spot goes to someone that we've gotten to witness a little bit in the flashbacks while we're watching the Russian storyline unfold, but we haven't really seen too much happen yet with, and for my number 2 spot, I give it to Kovar. Kovar is a character that we just got introduced to this season as well in the flashbacks in Russia. So Kovar is a very interesting character. He's being played by Dolph Lundgren, and he's got a very intimidating and very stocky build, which actually fits the description right now of Prometheus. Prometheus has a very looming charisma to him. He's very dark, sinister, but he's very brooding. He seems very built. Plus, Kovar is a character that could also actually be a threat to Oliver. So Kovar is a person, as long as Oliver hasn't killed Kovar in the flashbacks before we get the reveal of Prometheus, then then we can probably scratch them off the list. But as this season has shown right now, is that some characters don't remain dead, they end up coming back, just like most comic books. So it's going to be very interesting to see whether or not Kovar actually ends up more and more as the episodes go on, becoming a more likely candidate to actually be the man under Prometheus' hood. And for my number one pick, this isn't just for me personally, because I actually want this character to come back, and I feel like a lot of people within the fandom are supporting that same hypothesis, and that would be to have Tommy Merlyn be the person underneath Prometheus. Basically, for him to basically come back into the story, for him to basically have seen what Oliver has become, and to see that his city that he grew up with Oliver and also loves as well hasn't really gotten much better with Oliver becoming the Green Arrow. So having Tommy come back, having him don the mantle of Prometheus, with him actually knowing about Oliver's past, him knowing about Oliver being on the island, and knowing actually about the list would actually be a really compelling story. Not to mention it would be friend against friend once we got the reveal. So I feel like that would be something that a lot of fans are hoping for. Me, myself, would actually be really happy to see Tommy come back. And I think it would just be basically an overarching better half for the second half of the season, and be very engaging for us as the viewers to basically see Oliver have to go up basically his best friend that he thought was dead this whole time. Well guys, that's it for this video. Now it's your turn. Did you agree or disagree with the stuff that I had to say within this video? If you agree or disagree, please leave a comment down below about who you think Prometheus might end up being once we get the reveal. If you agree with anything on this list, we can talk back and forth about what our favorite pick is for who Prometheus is. If there's someone on the list that I did not mention that you feel is a better candidate for who Prometheus might be, leave that down below as well, and we can definitely discuss it further and just speculate until the season returns this January. And also guys, if you want to keep up with the content that I'm providing for on this channel and keep the conversation going, be sure to hit that subscribe button right down there and leave a like on this video. So guys, until I see you in my next video, I'll talk to you guys later. See ya!